Hello, 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 and welcome to the Mystic Nerd Squad podcast. I am your host, Kelly Meyerson, and I am delighted to be joined today by my friend and fellow cohort for the Business Accelerator program that we did this past fall with Camille Miller, my good friend, Nancy Stevens. Nancy, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, and I'm really glad to be sharing and working with you this morning, this
Oh,
today.
oh my gosh, for sure. I just want to share with you, listener, a little bit about Nancy because she is a powerhouse. Let me tell you all about her. Nancy Stevens empowers women to achieve emotional well-being and self-care through holistic coaching and yoga. An ACC-certified coach and best-selling author, she provides tools for managing stress and finding balance. Host of Vibrant Wellbeing, Nancy inspires women to thrive personally and professionally with confidence and resilience in today's fast paced world. I love your bio so much for a number of reasons. First of all, the fact that um, we serve very similar clients in the world, empowering women. And second of all, that the heart of what you do is really helping women thrive personally and professionally and really making sure that their well-being practices are in a great state of being because you and I both know that that can be the foundation of building resilience because we don't get to, press pause on the rest of the world and take care of ourselves. We sort of have to do it at the same time, but do both existing in the world and taking care of ourselves at the same time.
Yes, so important. I mean, that's how you nailed it. That's how I live my life now, which wasn't always my story of how I came to do the work that I'm doing um, as a coach and a healer. So I'll share a little background with you. Back in the day, as really what really brought this to the highlight is when I became a mom to my first son. I was still working full time and enjoying life with him. Then we began to bring in more sons into the world, and we ended up, my husband and I, parenting four sons. So life really got busy, and what occurred was I found myself at the end of the day feeling frustrated and tired and but yet had this energy that my job was to get up, start the day, hit the ground running, and get everything done on my list for everyone and everything so I could check that box off at the end of the day, feeling accomplished because I completed all these external things that made me look good and feel good, but gave me a place where I've earned my value. I've helped, I've supported. What I didn't know was as I was so busy taking care of, doing, being, checking off the boxes, like that was my mantra or mission, was I had stepped out of myself. It's as if somebody else was in the driver's seat and I was in the passenger seat looking for validation or a nod or permission to maybe extend care to myself occasionally, but it wasn't something I was in alignment with. And I didn't even know how disconnected I was from myself. I was busy being, external Nancy, where you're handling and doing everything. Well, that you can do just so much of that in your life. And there's going to come a time, which I did, which I began to get more and more frustrated and get more defensive and angry. So those emotions, feeling frustrated, tired, defensive, angry, or doing self-care, I call it, that is rewards based, external things, maybe binge watching TV, eating unhealthy foods, drinking, staying up late, like, ooh, I'm rewarding myself, which obviously is depleting. So that all began to bubble up. I wasn't really aware, but I wasn't comfortable with how I was feeling at the end of the day and how I would just erupt if I thought something was going to take me off of my daily job. Then I took a yoga class. I took it because they had daycare and I knew that I could get a break. I didn't care about the class. It was like, oh, there's a class available that I can get daycare. It happened to be yoga. Well, little did I know that that class would begin to open the doorway and change the trajectory of my life. So at the end of the class, we were given permission in a asana called Shavasana, which if you're not familiar with yoga, Shavasana is a place of active rest where you are just being present. You're not needing to do, be, you're just lying on the mat or seated, receiving. Well, that was all new to me. And it was such a beautiful experience. I felt tears rolling down my cheeks in that class. That something opened up in me that brought me into a moment of awareness that I mattered, that Nancy needed to give herself permission that she mattered. Her needs, her goals, her dreams, something big shifted in me. I didn't have a name for it, but I felt the shift and oh, I want more of this. So I started trying to, as best I could, to take regular yoga classes, just being a student. So every time I stepped on the mat, I began to learn a little bit more about being mindful, letting go of emotions. What are emotions? So that began a practice for me that moved me into the place of where I am now. Now, it wasn't a one and done. I'm still on my journey, but that opened doorways for me to start going on retreats. I eventually became a yoga practitioner, completing and taking a 200-hour yoga teacher training, which, yes, it was for me to teach, but also, of course, a deeper dive into learning about who I was. So um, these practices just began to open more doors for me, being a student in my life. Yes, the practices, like I said, were for my professional pursuits, but really because I was drawn to them. I know it was my journey. And then eventually, the practice of yoga and teaching and mindfulness opened a door for me to become certified as a coach. And again, same thing. Wow, all right, I get to use this amazing modality as a coach to support and help inspire people. Cool. Well, guess what? During the process of coaching, I encountered a lot of resistance, fear, all these uncomfortable emotions that began to bubble up. What were these? This doesn't feel comfortable. I, what? So as I learned from my coach trainers, yeah, guess what? You're here to learn the art and practice of coaching to help others, but you can only help others as you take to heart and start to help yourself. Start to be comfortable with the uncomfortable emotions rather than wanting everything to be peaceful and placate everybody, to be okay to go down beneath the surface and lovingly, with compassion and curiosity, examine these feelings versus being afraid of them or thinking that I don't want anybody to know, I don't want to know. So the process of my coach training really was a fertile playground classroom for me to begin to go deeper into the fabric of who is Nancy Stevens? What is she here to do? Um, and the deeper that I have gone into myself has given me more open space of being healed and healing and sharing that with everybody. So all of that being said, here I am today um, with a full coaching practice, and knowing that every day, maybe an emotion or something is going to come up. Now, before I would have not known about it or just accepted that uncomfortable feeling of resistance or whatever. But now, when I have that feeling or sensation, because I'm human, stuff is going to happen every day, instead of like, oh, let's find something else to do, or let's deny that or numb it down, I lovingly ask myself, what do you have to believe for this emotion to be showing up? What are you meant to learn from this? It's yours, it's energy. It doesn't mean anything, but it wants you to look at it, reflect this, process this, so you can understand it and have even more space to live your life and to help others. So that's where I am now. When things come up, instead of hiding or running, I pause and I lovingly ask myself, what do I need to learn from this? What does the universe want?
Mhm.
So that is my journey now, much deeper, more full, robust journey, but it is a daily journey.
I love that. That is such a beautiful story. And I think some of the really cool points there, so many parents, in particular moms, can relate to, getting lost in the busyness of raising a family. Especially having four sons, I'm sure the demands on you just for the daily tasks of keeping a household running, keeping everybody fed, bathed, healthy, running from place to place. It is so easy to get into that space of not taking care of yourself, for delaying that gratification. And then at the end of the day, being like, I've literally given myself zero. And now I'm going to punish myself further by going into self-soothing mode and doing things that are not helpful, like delaying bedtime. I feel like that is such a prevalent issue. And I'm obsessed with sleep.
Yeah.
So I know in the teaching and training that I've done on sleep with people, that is such a quick flex for people to give up on sleep, to give up on their well-being. And I love the story of you going to a yoga class, not because you felt like you were going to become some sort of yoga guru, but you were like, child's care. I don't care what I'm doing, but it's by myself for a little while. And really meeting yourself on the mat, so to speak. That is such a beautiful experience. And I think it also speaks to the simplicity that the journey of taking better care of yourself can have. It doesn't have to be super complicated. And the gateway for you really was that moment of presence on the mat and realizing, oh my gosh, when is the last time I've been still? When is the last time that I just rested and didn't expect anything of myself and didn't have a timer set to go take care of someone else? So I think that is a really special part of your journey. And for the listener, for someone out there who is in that struggle state, who hasn't yet figured out where to move forward, even if yoga is not for you, maybe that's not for you, but finding those moments of stillness, I think, are some ways that we can start our journey towards taking better care of ourselves. You're nodding your head, so I think that probably resounds with you a little bit, Nancy. Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly the journey, whether it's yoga, walking, taking a fitness class, or just finding your spot, the relevance and deep impact of first you would like I did, I was not noticing, was not aware, I was just moving and going and just getting it done. So I didn't have that awareness that something was starting to I was off balance. I wasn't living congruently with who I was born to be. So that had to start with me beginning to notice these rumblings or these gentle pushes or nudges that something is going to, you know, thing we're trying to catch your attention, Nancy. Are you present? So I had to be aware first that I wasn't feeling good and that I was
Mm.
starting to why am I feeling frustrated or angry or defensive? So it began with my journey, starting to notice my emotional and mental and maybe physical state. Then from that place, when I took that yoga class because it was offered when I had daycare, then I was more present with noticing the tears and attributing that to, wow, okay, so I this is something I really needed that I didn't know I needed, but because I received it today and I was aware of it, okay. And then my journey began. And the really it was having that moment of time just for myself, not needing to get ready to go for the day, dial down the day, show up to work. It really is important to find a small moment to pause every day. I can't stress that enough because we're so busy fueling ourselves. We have our devices, everything is always on and open 24 hours a day. And a body can take just so much of that. Being just constantly stimulated really disconnects us from ourselves. And it's just so pressing, even if you've never done it before, just to spend a few moments pausing in stillness and silence to connect with your well being, your essence, just you, then moving out into your day. Now, I have a daily practice. I didn't when I got started. I had nothing. But this is now the fabric of how I start my day before everything takes off. And it starts with, it can even be if you're having your favorite beverage in the morning or doing something you're just really enjoying that moment of self-care, that you matter. You're fueling yourself, whether you have 5 minutes or 30 minutes. It's not based on time, it's based on your intention to lovingly nourish and care for yourself. And that will give, that little ripple will give way to a deeper, more robust path for you, whatever that is. It's very personal and it depends on you. But it starts with that self awareness, like noticing how you're feeling mentally, physically, emotionally, then asking yourself, what could I do for myself that's healthy versus, like you said, numbing it down with staying up really late to get the squeeze in or eating or, drinking or binge watching. What's something I can just do for me? And when you do that, the door opens to even more beautiful and healing and soothing energy that's just right for you.
Yes. Oh, yes. 100% tracks. Definitely my own experience, just starting with one small piece of true self-care, true self-awareness, like you said, true self-love, and doing it without feeling guilt or shame or pressure to like get this done and move on, but really sinking into that present moment. I love that you said with your favorite beverage, because I think that was sort of my entryway to really having a little bit of magic in my morning and really taking myself out of that, okay, the morning is just for getting ready to go, and using that time and space to be mindful and present. So for me, I wake up and I'm a coffee girly. So I'm immediately excited about getting my coffee. Listen, I add a little protein in there, I add a little squirt of some electrolytes in there. So I try to make it as nutritious as possible, but it's delightful. It's coffee. And I sit down, and for 2025, I got myself a new journal. It's put out by Danielle Laporte, who wrote the Desire Map a bunch of years ago. And she has this whole heart-centered planning way. So it's part calendar, part journal, which kind of enticed me because it was all in one. Convenience is a factor, right? When we're trying to lead these busy lives and still be mindful. And so I sit with my coffee and I look out my door outside and I do my little journal, and it's a tiny little page. It's literally just a couple of prompts, and plan my day and look at my calendar and get excited, get into like a really good headspace and heart space for the day. And I know no matter how my day gets off track, I'm always refreshed, restart the next morning with the same practice. And it really is giving me space and breath and freedom. And I don't feel the same time pressure doing this. And this is just one tiny practice every day, but it's probably the one that really jumpstart making all the good choices and nourishing myself for the day. Do you relate to that?
I completely relate to that. I view my morning routine or practice as setting the foundation for how I'm going to show up and be in the day, regardless of what occurs in the world, in my workspace, at me or to me because I've intentionally set my body, mind, and spirit into the heart of receiving the best of care, that I now have that full, ample foundation of energy that's going to move with me through my day. I know when I don't have time to practice, if something off schedule, I can really feel the difference versus when I set my foundation, taking care of myself in quiet and stillness with my beverage, getting ready versus if I just get up and hit the ground running. I feel disconnected, like, oh, okay, now I'm reacting versus my foundation gives me the energy because I've so lovingly cared for myself to have the energy to respond versus react. That is a big deal because a lot of the busyness that we do, we are responding, quote, and reacting. That's what I, that's how I feel, come to view my daily routine is it sets the tone for me to sit lovingly, comfortably connected to my body, mind, and spirit so I can respond to the day versus coming off getting knocked off my foundation or like, oh, I feel like I'm walking on marbles. I'm just whatever happens, I'm just all over the place. So it really takes the energy and brings it fully and wholly. And that's everyone's right. We all deserve the right to have really good energy. It's not up to someone or something, it's our gift to provide the highest, greatest, best good of energy possible based on who we are and what our wants and needs are. These really matter. And like I said, this practice came into my life later, but who I am now is my practice. And I can't imagine not starting the day from a place of calm, care, and beauty. And again, it doesn't have to be a lengthy practice. If you're like, no way, 5 minutes, start small, one thing at a time. And as it feels good to you, if you have time and want to, then add on. It's not a one and done or IG, only people that have a certain schedule, can do this. It's for everyone.
I love that you say that. I love that you say that. And I want to talk about a couple different things to highlight what you said in the beginning when you were talking about your journey and what you just said now. I want to talk about energy and I want to talk about emotions. And if you're open to it, I would love to talk from the lens of human design because it's something that I really geek out on. Would you be open to talking about human design?
Yes, I love human design. I'm just learning about it, but wow.
I think it's important, and there's a couple reasons why. So, and some language that you use that I think really reflects human design. So, just to share with everyone, I'm a 1-3 profile emotional manifesting generator. Manifesting generators are part of the generator branch, and the difference is we have that manifesting energy because we have a defined throat. So just a little dive into it. But the emotional part is important because part of my particular design as an emotional manifesting generator is the way that I respond in life. So generators are here to respond, not to initiate. Initiating is manifester energy. And that's not to be confused with manifesting. That's different than a manifester. It's a different kind of angle. And so for me, I go through an emotional wave. And so when I make decisions, I need to be even keeled and I need to have kind of experienced that the high and the low of my wave. So I can feel like very high energy, very happy, high vibe, and I can feel very low energy, what we would call negative energy, but it isn't that. It's just experiencing the full range of emotions. And so when I am responding to something, or if something comes into my field, somebody invites me to do something, they invite me to go out to dinner on a Saturday night at 8 p.m. So I might have kind of a like an instinct of like, do I want to do that or not? If I'm in my high energy, sometimes I might just say yes. And then we come to Saturday and Kelly is like, I want my pajama pants on at 7 p.m. So I wait till I've felt like, oh, this would be really fun, or like, no, I'd rather be in my pajamas, and then kind of come to a neutral state and make my decision from there. yes, that resonates, or no, that does not. I'm even feeling in myself like, no, that is not for me. So, if I may share, Nancy, you are a projector. Do you feel comfortable telling everybody what your experience is as a projector?
Well, I didn't know anything about human design until 2019 when I went on a retreat, and the event planner, retreat facilitator said, before you guys come, I want you to here's a link. I want you to take this and bring what your human design is. I was like, what's that? It's basically it's your birth chart, but way more than that. So I had to find the hour I was born. I plugged in my numbers and I came out as a projector. I'm like, what is this? Okay. So I kind of read a little bit. I didn't know much about it. Well, when I was on the retreat, I learned that projectors, which I am, um, our job is we are not one to sell, to share. We can share, but we have to wait to be invited. And that made a lot of sense to me then. I'm like, I had such fear and resistance around the word selling or telling the facts that was so out of alignment with me. I just was not. I'm like, what? And at the times when I tried to, hey, sell my package, nothing, crickets. It was as if I didn't say anything. So
Hmm,
learning about being a projector really showed up for me. And I believe mine is a 3-5. And I guess when things don't go well, the energy of bitterness shows up. I'm really drawn to the energy of success. And that makes a lot of sense because that's a big word and energy in my life is success, whether it's successfully waking up feeling good or wow, bringing in new clients into my practice. It's very personal. So
I
I'm
love it.
yes. So waiting to be invited is a big deal for me, and that really helped a lot in
Yeah.
my life.
Yes, I love that. And I think the other piece for someone who is a projector is that you don't have that sacral definition. So your energy can be less than that of a generator. Generators have the sacral definition, so they tend to be go, go, go. They're literally go getters, go doers. And projectors, when they try to live as a generator, tend to experience burnout, or like you said, that bitterness. Like, I'm hustling as hard as everybody else, but why am I not getting all of these things that I want out of life? And I think the key piece here that I think is great about human design is when you were speaking earlier about all of those emotions. No emotion is inherently right or wrong, but the idea that our emotions are information about energy, emotion in our bodies that tell us when we're in alignment and not. And I feel like that was such a hard lesson for me because I used to feel like I shouldn't be feeling emotional. Come to find out that that is my energetic design. That is the thing that I am designed to do, to feel emotions, to experience emotions, and not to feel like there's anything wrong with that. How about you as a projector and emotions? What have you learned about yourself?
Well, I learned when I read my emotions, which emotions is right, emotions are simply energy. They're here to inform us the next best step to take or to pause. So I learned that when I am, quote, feeling the energy of fatigue, overwhelm, resistance, to dig a little deeper and know that for me, that's my body saying, you've reached your energy output, back off, say no, reschedule. It's not for me to continue to push. I think because I think everybody in my family is somehow some type of a generator or manifesting. I'm the only projector. So I do, at the end of the day, I'm tired. I need to rest. My body needs lots of downtime. I have big energy pushes, but my body needs a lot of downtime for me to reset and refuel my energy. And if I ignore and keep pushing, I'm going to get physically sick. I'm going to lose my voice. Things are going to become foggy and unclear. So it matters for us to lean into our emotions as a way to be informed about what is the best step in place for us to take. Or do we need to do more? Do we have a lot of energy? Okay, do more. Am I starting to feel exhausted or overwhelmed? What does that want me to do? Maybe it's sit down, reflect, take a break, take a time out, listen to your emotions, their energy. They're not saying anything about you personally, about your value, your worth, nothing of the sort. I call it a guide, really, to let us know what is ours to work on, to befriend, to to heal. And that is, I read my energy every day, and I can tell when I've reached the end of my day, and I now respect that and stop working. I
Mm,
go a daily walk for me. I need to exercise every day. That's really important for me to rev up my energy and release energy. So that's a non-negotiable in my day is a daily walk or exercise, which is probably why I teach group fitness classes in the morning before I work. So energy reading is essential. Very,
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. And I love that it's really the piece of curiosity about, oh, isn't that interesting that
Mhm.
I'm starting to feel this certain way, and not to, as I know I experienced in the past, feeling like, why am I so frustrated again? Why am I so, dissatisfied? And for generators, it's satisfaction and frustration. Those are sort of the satisfaction is how you know you're in alignment, and frustration means something is out of alignment. And often for me, it's that I'm doing something that doesn't light me up. And
Mhm.
so I've learned that if I have to do things, like there are things we have to do that are just adulting, right? Hashtag adulting. But if I can find a way to do something and make it enjoyable. So, for example, if you can see above my head, if you're watching the video, my books are in rainbow order.
I love
So, yeah. So, if I could find fun rainbows, you know, colored pencils, my calendar when I'm organizing all of our events is color coded. Like if I can find some fun in things, I can take the mundane and make it enjoyable and get lit up about it. So I think that has been super helpful. And I love that you brought up the two for if you're listening and you're a projector, the bitterness is that sign of being out of alignment. And I know I've talked to other projectors, and one of the things, like you said, like the exercise is non-negotiable for you. I've also heard that um, projectors, when they're building their calendar, will build in that space. And I love how you said at the end of the day, like you don't have a like you're planning to go to 9 p.m. The end of the day is when your energy stops. And
it.
that's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I can definitely feel I feel that dividing line when I've been doing and doing and I have good energy, like, oh, okay, let's keep creating or producing. And then all of a sudden my body's like, I kind of feel it from my chest up and my body's like, nope, you're done. You're done working. You can back off from that. And when I ignore it and push past it, the results don't stack up in my favor. Maybe I forget a detail, or it doesn't have if I'm working on a project, the wording doesn't flow as much because my energy is done. My body and mind and spirit are like reset time, reset, reset, reset. So I've learned to really lean into and honor what my body, mind, and spirit are sharing. Very important. Pushing past that, which there's times in our life when we're just called to push. It's not like, oh, well, forget it. There are times, life happens. However, if we're operating from a norm of ignoring and pushing past, the results in your life are going to start to really spiral downward, or not going to be optimal for you. So that was a big learning lesson in me, to listen to, respond, and just build that end of workday into my schedule. And guess what? I feel so much better when I do. The following day, as a result of listening to that, moves much more smoothly. I don't wake up feeling disconnected or scattered, or like, oh, and now I'm behind and I just woke up. What's this? So it's really, really important.
Yeah. And the sleep and rest piece. I mean, we all need to sleep and rest, but particularly for projectors, the sleep and rest piece makes a
Oh,
huge difference.
yeah, there was a time in my life, it was maybe 2 years ago, I went through a period of intense, horrific insomnia. It didn't matter if I were exhausted. When I laid down to sleep, my mind would not shut off. It was if when I reclined, a button got pressed in the back of my head that ran this rampant hamster wheel of just nonsensical thoughts, like, oh, well, you didn't get it up. It's like it was popcorn, and I was like, make it stop. And I really felt the impact. Sleep is such, and I think we all value sleep. We say we value it, but yet I think chronic insomnia and sleep issues is so prevalent today, and that unfortunately causes all kinds of anxiety, depression, emotional issues, lack of being able to move with clarity. So my mantra when I had severe insomnia, was I started to really work on diving into a deep sense of being calm and peaceful no matter what was going on. Like that did not have permission to take me away. And I really worked intentionally on that for a year. And I can tell you the shift in my energy as a result of pouring that in has been amazing. I'm now sleeping again. And I tried everything out there possible. And I think as I move this energy of having calm and peace at my center, um, covers me with ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. That was another thing. Who wants to wake up at 3 a.m. wide awake and you're like, I'm not going to get up and work. It's dark. I don't. So if you're suffering from struggling with sleep issues, you owe it to yourself to really work on that, to dive into providing that for yourself, because it really is a vital link for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it it's a life imperative. Like we can't survive without good quality sleep. And I love that you said that you did not give whatever thought patterns were happening permission to disrupt your sleep and or take you off course with your calmness. So really helping yourself through mindset work, through figuring out how to calm your mind. And I think a lot of us can relate to that because, to echo what you said earlier, we're so trapped in busyness. And this has been a very popular topic this season of my episode, talking about busyness, especially in 2025 with the access to people and social media and everything. And do you have any tips for avoiding that trap of busyness?
I would say I think busyness is just always going to be. However, I think it's tips to have us how we can navigate the energy of busyness so it's not front and center energy that's constantly an on switch. And that is to maybe even set a timer on your phone, believe it or not. I mean, using that device for the good is to set that timer that when you hear that, you're going to just take a pause, whether it's you're in your home office, workplace office, maybe before mealtime, or you're going to take a 1 minute pause. You're going to feel your physical body present, whether it's seated in your chair or In the room, you're going to just do a pause that you're not needing to take in any more information. You're here in the present. You're not thinking about what you're going to do, what their next meeting or event, nor are you going to go back to the past. If only that conversation went better. What da 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 da. Just literally use your hands, push away the near future, keep the past, and just sit for a daily pause. Also, another easy thing to do is when you're starting to get ramped up, maybe before a meeting or a conversation, is to take 3 full, maybe 4 intentional full inhale and exhale breaths. That shift takes the mind out of spinning because the mind is working with the breath, and that's a mini reset. So use your breath. So many people breathe from their throat or chest. We're not getting the full impact of oxygen and blood flow, which is huge. I mean, we need oxygen to live. So taking 3 to 4 full deep breaths, take that mini pause. Even look outside if you have a window, glance outdoors or go outdoors for a minute and take in nature. Nature is very soothing. Whether you're in a busy big city, maybe you can find a look at the sky. Here, listen for the sound of a bird, or look for a flower, tree, or shrub. Those are 3 things that I use to help me self-soothe and get back into stay out of that hyper driven busy energy, just to bring it down for a moment.
Yeah, I think too, what you said earlier about your journey and really not feeling like you matter, and that hustle for self-worth.
Yeah.
And sometimes we keep ourselves so busy because we use that as a reference point for our worthiness, unfortunately.
Yes. Busyness equals value, equals worth. Oh, if I don't have anything to do, well, others aren't going to see me as being a valuable asset. And my worth, my internal worth is based on my external output. What did I do today? What did I achieve? And that is such self-deprecating energy. I know that because I lived so many years of my life giving myself permission to be Nancy based on my external output. What are you contributing to your household, your workplace, the world? Oh, you're not, whatever, you're not da da da. That's like, no, that couldn't be further from the truth. And hopping on the treadmill of external busyness with internal self worth. Your internal self worth is the fact that you were born for a much more meaningful role than externalness. So accepting and loving ourselves, that's another big energy shift, that we've placed the ability to love and accept ourselves on our worth, what we do, which only drives us further from getting to know and love ourselves. So that was a big journey of mine, that my yoga mat experience brought me full front and center to love and accept myself. And that's, the universe is always giving me opportunities. Sometimes when I have readings or work with others, it's as if those people are there saying, oh, love and accept yourself, Nancy. Your worth is you being born, not on all of your external pursuits, awards, accomplishments, achievements. That's a big deal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's the biggest deal, I think. That it's there's so much conditioning and pressure that comes from, society, community, to achieve, to do, be, have all of these external things, when really it's just about who we are. And we were born worthy. We don't need to do anything in our lives to be worthy. And I think when you make that mindset shift of what I do is not how I determine whether I matter or I'm worthy, then you feel so much more freedom, at least I can say for myself, to enjoy life, to do things that light you up, to say, I love to sit and read a book. And I'm not doing anything productive necessarily, but I'm doing something in honor of what brings me joy and lights me up and just living. And that's meaningful to me.
Exactly. So getting, yeah. So in our society fosters that self-worth. Like, oh, what do you do? What do you do? Da da da. Like, so we've got this heightened sense, oh, I better have something to do so that I can fit in, which again, that's just old, that is old energy that really, as we move forward into 2025, it's up to us to move way to brush that energy aside and saying that my quote doingness is taking care of myself, that as I love and take care of myself, I'm contributing to a healthier, happier, positively energized world. That my role of taking care of me so lovingly and intentionally is the energy that impacts my household, my relationships, my workplace, my neighborhood, my community. That is the bigger driving energy that moves me, was how lovingly and thoughtfully can I tend to my own well-being every day. That, here's the biggest compliment that I enjoy receiving is, wow, Nancy, you have such good energy. Your
Mm,
energy is um, reassuring, caring, authentic. That's the ultimate compliment because I know that I'm caring for myself and that I'm giving others the ability to receive my energy and know that they too have the ability to have good energy by caring for themselves. So,
mm.
inside job, so to speak, of doing for ourselves, that is the ultimate ends to the means.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I absolutely. And I think the really cool part that you mentioned there is that piece of being authentically yourself and how much of a gift that ultimately becomes for everybody around you. And speaking of authenticity, I would love for you to share what you have coming up. And getting into your energy is something that other people can do. So, what are some ways that people can connect with you and what do you have coming up?
Well, this month I am hosting two free workshops. One, I'm going to be hosting on a LinkedIn Live next Wednesday, February 12th. It is a free event. If you find me, Nancy Stevens, on LinkedIn, you can click to see my event, and it's going to be a 30-minute lunch and learn. It's going to take place at 12:30 um, Eastern Time. It's called Holistic Leadership, Simple Practices for Well-Being. And we're going to unpack ways for you to lead yourself first so that you can be that leader wherever you're doing your life. Just going to unpack some really easy, simple, empowering personal practices. So that one is next Wednesday, February 12th, LinkedIn Live. I have another one coming up. It's on a platform, it's an online platform. The platform is Learn It Live. And mine is through an organization called the Wellness Universe. But if you type in Learn It Live, you'll see my workshop come up. And this one is called Lead Your Life Meaningfully, Simple Nurturing Practices. This one takes place Saturday, February 22nd. It's about a 1 hour workshop. It takes place at 11 a.m. Eastern time, so you would adjust your time accordingly. This one is going to be live, and this one will also be recorded. So all you need to do to tap into this one is sign up with a username and a password, and that will gain you access and entry into my workshop and into all the workshops. It's free. It's going to be a great time for you to learn and just find some useful tools, tips, and strategies for how to live your very best life. So that is what I have going on in February.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And we'll make sure that we put all of that in the show notes. So it's just a simple, easy link for the listener to just click to find you and follow you on LinkedIn for sure. Because I was saying to Nancy before we even started our conversation this morning, her posts on LinkedIn are so fantastic. She's always bringing something to help you learn, to help you grow, to build engagement, to build community. And I think what's so exciting about all of this is that you are making building resilience, building that emotional stamina, and really living a very meaningful life so accessible for everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, that is my area of connectedness and beingness, is to promote and share how we can each live a meaningful, well, highly regarded, loving life that everyone deserves this, and it's available to everyone, not just people who, quote, have just hours of time. It's available to the busiest a person and from all ages. And it's our job to tap into and love and live our lives meaningfully and satisfactorily. So, yes.
I love it. Oh my gosh, this has been so great chatting with you, Nancy. Listener, I encourage you to hop down into those show notes and connect with Nancy and check out both of those awesome events. Love the topics. I'm going to see how I can get myself available for those too. They sound fantastic. And I want to just thank you so much for being so candid, for sharing your story, your journey, and of course, just the most precious and positive tools that I just know are going to be impactful for other people.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for having me as a guest. It's been a pleasure for me to. I've learned from you some more tips about projectorhood. I just love that human design, and yeah, it's been an honor. So thank you so much for having me on this show today.
You are so welcome. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon whenever you're catching this podcast episode. And Nancy and I would like to thank you for being here, and really remind you to prioritize your well-being and take care of yourself. Thank you so much for being here. Bye for now.